All right, so this is going to be an event catch to catch the date and time of an event when it happens using an FAL instruction in Studio 5000 version 30. So this will be using an emulator platform. Now again, when I have everything, if you want to know why my screen looks this way, it's because I changed my Windows settings so that I get the best operation, but this is version 30, as you can tell. This is version 30, and again, this is version 30 that we're going to be doing, right? And we're going to call this an event catcher. So this is an event catcher. Now, how you, real quick, how you do that is if you were curious on how to change your settings to get the best optimal performance, go to advanced right here, and then you would come down here, and then you would go to performance, and you put the best for performance. Now that's going to give you the best for your VM. This is a VM environment. So again, that's going to give you the best for that. Now, for what we're going to do is we're going to change this stuff. We're going to go down to properties. We're going to change this to periodic task real quick, as we do, right? So we're going to change it to periodic task, and then we're going to come down here and put that as 75 milliseconds. That's what we have it as. And we're going to come down here, and then we're going to add our new routine. Sorry. Right here, add our new routine, and we're going to call this event time catch, if I could spell, and event time catch, right? So then we have that there. Now we need to tie our we're going to add our old JSR in here so that we can basically tie everything in, and we're linking our routines together. That's all this is doing. So this is the main routine, this is a secondary routine, so now we have that in place. So now, first and foremost, what we need to do if we're going to start doing anything with date and times, so I want to show you this, is we're going to actually come in here and we're going to do a GSV. Okay, I like to type it in, it's just easier. Now our instance is going to be our wall clock. Okay, and then we're going to come down here, and I'm going to talk about this for just a brief second. Now a lot of people in the past have used date and time. I will tell you that that can and will work, but again, you're using a more centralized clock that you cannot adjust if you adjust the processor properties. So Rockwell has came in efforts to attach and be more localized to the SIP protocol. What they're doing is they went to the date and local date and time zone and stuff like that. So if you want to be able to adjust, what I'm saying here is if you want to be able to adjust your date and time to match the date and time that it's getting from your processor, and be able to change the processor to match, then you want to use local date and time. Okay, so if you use regular date and time, it's going to be a different clock than it is for the actual local date and time. Okay, so we're going to grab that. Now we're going to make our tag here, and we're going to call this date time. Now we're going to use a dent of 7. Okay, a dent of 7. And that's just giving all 7 properties of that, right? So now we need to put that as, come over here, put that as right here. So that's done. Now I'm going to actually download this, right? I'm going to go on where you can easily see right here. This is a download to that emulator. Okay, so I have several emulators running. This is going to be slot 3. So we're going to download to slot 3 right now, and we're going to actually show you this running, right? So again, I'm running my Windows properties. That's why it looks brown instead of the nice little beautiful Windows. I'm getting a better performance out of this so that it's better for you and better for the quality of the video. So again, still doesn't change the version of, this is version 3011. So again, when it comes down to it, now we have our stuff information here. So let's go and check this information before we do our everything else. So now look, we have 1:15 is our actual time, right? So it's Saturday 1:15. Now why does it say 12? So if you look at this, this is the year, this is the date, or the month, this is the date, this is the hour. So again, so when I came down here and talked about this a minute ago, I said if you want to be able to affect it, right, you want to use local date and time. So now if I sync this in to my actual computer, it's going to change. Now it's in military time, but it still changed. You see that? So now it's 1:16, it's 1:16 here. Okay, that's military time, right? So it's 13:16. Okay, so that is why we use the local date and time right here, right? So again, so now we're going to come in and we're going to add our next element, which is going to be our FAL. So that's our FAL. We're going to put this as, first and foremost, you're going to use your control. Your control is basically your tag name, but your control for that specific FAL instruction. Now this FAL instruction, again, we're going to be using this name, so make sure it's something you remember. This is called, we're going to call this event time catch, right? So that's fine to use because we're just basically, we'll call this event time, we'll call this event, or we can do event last event trigger. I like that better. Last event trigger, so, and then we'll put time. That's very simple. Now, keep this in mind, we're going to be using this tag in this, but in this actual example. So we'll do that in just a second though. So our length is 7. Okay, so again, we want to match our data. Our data is over here is 7 properties, right? 0 through 6, 7, right? So that's 7 dent values, the array of dent, right? Or the array of 7 for the dent. Position we're not going to worry about. For the mode, we have 2 modes. We can transmit all the data at one time, or we can increment. Every time the rung goes true, we can increment one place at a time for the position. So I'm going to show you this. But in this illustration, we're going to use all right now. And then, so now we need to do our expression. So this is kind of where we come in and we're going to use this. So I'm going to grab this real quick. And we're going to use some indirect addressing here. So we're going to go date, time, which is our date and time that we got, right? Originally from our GSV. We're going to indirect address the actual control for this, and then we're going to use the .pso. So we're going to use that. Okay, so that's going to be our expression, and then we're going to load it into, we're going to make our new tag. Okay, so this is going to be last event time. Last event, we'll call this last event time. And we're going to do the same thing. We need to make sure all of our data is the same. So 7 dents, right? The array of 7. Now we're not done here. So we're going to actually use the same exact thing. We're going to come in and use the .pso. And we're using the indirect addressing for the simple fact so that we can scroll through this, right? So if we were using increment instead of all, it would do one position at a time. So we're using the positions basically. So I'm going to drag this down and we'll call this, actually let's see. It wants to be a pain sometimes. So let's just see, this is going to be event trigger. So we'll call that tag event trigger. Now I want to show you this because we have no data in this right now. So if I go to last event triggered, we're going to go down to monitor, and you can see that we have data flowing in from our GSV to our date and time. We have nothing in our last event time. Okay, so we have nothing in there right now. Now if I trigger this, even just for a split second, we can easily come back up and tell that that loaded all of our data. Now it loaded it one time. It's not real. I mean, it's not real time like keeping changing and stuff like that. It's just doing it one time, right? So it's capturing one event, if that would be the case, right? So I've used this for many different things. It's helped greatly, you know, understand what has happened. You can use this for fault capturing. You can use this for, I mean, sky's the limit, right? Fault capturing. You can use it for like system time starts, when it stopped. Just different data collecting things and different things like that, right? So this is really a cool tool. You can even use this for a state machine, but I'll get into that a whole different thing. So now we're going to come in and add another one, and we're going to use we're going to come in and drag this down again, and so this is going to be a clear. So we'll say we'll clear data button. Okay, so we're just going to clear the data, and then how we're going to clear the data is going to be a little bit different. We're going to go to File, and then we're going to go to, see, drag this down, see if we can get that in there, and then we're going to go synchronous copy, or you can use a regular copy. It doesn't matter, like whatever you choose to use, it doesn't matter. Let's just use a regular copy. It doesn't matter. So as a source file, we're going to make a tag, and we're going to call this clear data. And then we're going to again make this the same dent size, right? So we're basically same dent size. The destination is going to be loaded into here, last event. So what we want to do is get the last event right here, and then the length is going to be 7 because that's the whole array. Okay. Now again, coming into this, you have to load in the right stuff, right? You have to come in and make sure you start out with the right element and not just the top element, so that way it knows what to do. So now what we're going to do is, now we have all zeros in here. Okay, we have all zeros in here, and we still have time. We have data inside of here. So what we want to do is we want to clear that real quick. So, okay, so now we've cleared that data. We'll come back up here, and I'll show you that the data did clear. Okay, so we cleared our data and we captured our data. So now what if we want to say, let's just add a rung to make it more functional, to say, okay, well, now we're going to have something automated or something more automatic, you know, capture a rung or something, or capture the event, if you would. So let's come in here and let's throw a couple timers, real simple, real simple. And then we'll come down here and do this one more time. Throw another branch in there. And on this last branch, what we're going to do is we're going to make this really simple. So we're going to do this, we're going to call this, let's see, time. Actually, let's make this, let's call this flash time. And then we're going to give, probably, let's just say, I don't know, let's just give 10 of these, just the factor of how many we could use, right? So we're going to use 0 for this one, and then we're going to drag this down, and we're going to use 1 for this one. Now we want to use our bits too, so let's transition this, come in here, and let's do this right here. Use our bits, and this needs to be opposite. So I'll show you this. This is just a standard flasher timer. You've never seen me do a flasher timer before. I have tons of videos like showing you how I do all this stuff. But point being, I think this is pretty obvious now. So we'll come to here, we'll put this here, and then we'll also do this right here. Is we're going to say this is going to be capture fast event trigger. Okay, so that would be, and we're just basically simulating an event trigger. So what we want to do is come in here, just like that. So now to show you this timer working, right? So you can see that's working. Now again, there's no presets in there, so let's put this as 5 or a second and a half. Put that as a second and a half. Nice little subtle event trigger. So let's populate this down here and show that. Now, the reason I'm doing this, and I want to show you too, is the simple fact of that's one way to simulate a trigger, right? And you can also build another one. You can come over here and build off of this as well, and just like come back and let's just say this and build a whole nother one just like this. And let's do that real quick just to make it, I mean, it's so quick and so simple. Let's just do that. Let's do this. Let's add another one and pop this over here, and then we'll do one more right here. And to get that simpler, what we'll do is we'll populate that in there just like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our time. We're going to populate this down here, and we'll drag this down here to do this. one more time. And I'm only doing this to give a different time stamp, or a different time frequency. We'll call that 3 seconds. Right, so we'll call that, so this will be like slow or something like that. Right, so we can kind of drag these down, copy and paste, drag this up here, change this here, come over here just like this, come over here like that, and then do this out here, and then put that down here, and you'll see exactly what I'm doing if you're not already on board with it right now. Just a second, and we'll populate this, and this will be slow event catch. So slow event trigger. Okay, so that now gives you an implementation of actually using this, right? And let's see what we have. Let's go ahead and symbol that, and this should be almost in the same time frame as that, right? That's kind of why I do that. So you can do slow triggers, fast triggers, whatever you want. Clear the data. We can also enable, disable, and stuff like that. So we can throw another enable right here. So we'll call this enable, and enable, just for the simple fact of what we're doing. Enable time catch. Real simple. That way it doesn't trigger it all the time, and we know we can come down here and clear our data, right? So we clear our data, we're doing that. So we got all that, and we'll make sure we have clear data real quick. We have clear data. Good. All right, that's good. So now if we wanted to copy this, I wanted to highlight this. If we wanted to copy this and show the different instance, what we would need to do is we come down here and we would do this too. So let's add this in here and let's copy this. And I want to show you this because you can't use the same exact name because this is already being used. But what you can do is you can change it. So we'll just merely put it just like that. Now that we need to create the tag now. So again, now we're going to create the tag. We're going to come down here. We're going to do this, create it. And then we're going to do this as an increment, just so I can show you the increment as well. And then, so let's change the tag in here. Let's make sure we get the tags right. And this is kind of why I do the copy paste, because it's so simple. When you get to here, you can just come in here and just like literally just paste it in there. And now we're done. So now what we'll do is we'll put this right here, the slow timer. Drag that in there, and we'll put the slow trigger here. And I want to show you this. So as we come in here, this is going to work. So we're going to see this data flow in here one time, one piece at a time. It's going to slowly come in here every 3 seconds. You see that? It's starting to populate. So the next one will be right here. Next one will be right here every 3 seconds. So this is the increment, right? So if you wanted to do an increment or collect data incrementally, you could do that, right? You could easily come down here and you know, just, it's that simple, right? That I just wanted to show the two instances of doing this because, you know, there's different like functional things, and the more you know, the more you can use, right? So that really the power is in your hands. So what we're going to do is we're going to AFI that real quick because we don't really want to use that. So I'll drag a bit down here and just change it to an AFI. And that's the power of incrementing. But just look though, make sure you have a different name. Okay, so if you have the same name, it won't work. You'll be like, why is it not working? It's just because of the simple fact of you have the same exact name. It's that simple. So when it comes down to it, we'll clear the data again. And that is that. So now you know how to do an event catch. You can do an event catch for just about anything. I'm just simulating the event catch right here, and this is the same exact data, the same exact format I used in my other video. So we're going to actually tie all this together, right? I'm going to show you exactly what we talked about before in the prior video, I did an overview. This is the laying in the foundation of the actual processor. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to transition that to the factory talk system so that we can actually collect this data on an HMI, right? We can actually show the event being triggered on the HMI. Like we can easily pull it up and say, oh, when was the last time it was triggered? This is something that we've done before, and I just wanted to highlight this because this is something that is very valuable in helping you grow as far as that goes. But one more time, we'll check our data before we go, and we are all good. So with all that said, hope you enjoyed this video. And again, if you want to know more, you can check us out. All our training platforms and all our links will be below. And again, thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.